if you want to start the recording now.
We're good to go.
All right. First off, let me thank everyone for joining us tonight. We're going to try to make this as quick and brief as we can. I don't want to waste too much of your time. So let's just go ahead and get started. Neil, are you on the call?
I'm here.
Okay, great. All right, so just a quick agenda. Go through some administrative stuff. We'll talk about the venue for this year, for the summer games, for the 2016 summer games. We'll have Neil talk about the events and the new order of events that he's come up with, talk about rule reminders, the qualifiers, same as always, resources, paperwork, and so on. This is a huge reminder that I know we tell you at the beginning of each season. No athlete or volunteer can participate at all without a valid medical form or application, volunteer application. This has been a huge issue in the past, and we want to make sure it doesn't happen. The volunteer and the medicals must be valid through the end of the summer games. So if their medical expires June 4th, they must get a new one. Even if it's June 11th, they must have a current medical, and it needs to be turned in at the deadline. And we'll talk about the deadlines in a few minutes, but it has to be turned in by the deadline, even if it's not expired at that moment. The training registration deadline is April 21st. That is where everyone needs to be in training. So the coaches will send the rosters to the GMS coordinator for each county, or the coaches do it themselves, whatever the county does. Make sure everyone that is going to be training, not participating in summer games, just training in aquatics, must be entered by April 21st. The last date to submit missing forms is May 2nd. I was just talking about, where every form must be turned in. If it's going to expire before June 12th, it must be turned in by May 5th. There's no exceptions to this. I'm sorry, May 2nd. This is also the same date that all head coaches must have their coach certification, as well as their concussion certification. No head coach or no coach will be able to participate and be allowed at summer games as a coach if they do not have the certification for concussion. They have to complete that. Competition registration is May 23rd. This is where all competition rosters must be submitted and into GMS. So this is everyone that's going to be competing at summer games must be in GMS at that time. With their events. The last day to update their scores is May 31st. So if you enter in, if they go to a qualifier and they do better than their previous time, then by May 31st you can update it in GMS. Typical thing, one of the typical slides that we have with all of our webinars. I'm not going to go through all this. This will be sent out, and obviously, you guys can all read. So,
yeah, Melissa, one point with this, and it was noted on the other slide. Those dates are when your area has to have that information into GMS, not when you get it. Just doing that. And again, if we could please have everyone mute your phone. We're getting a lot of feedback and background noise because someone is not muting their phone. If you could hit, you can use *6 to mute and unmute your phone. That would be great, or use the mute function on your phone. But the key thing is here, you talk to your area leadership, talk to whoever is entering this stuff for you into GMS. They're going to need it at least a few days, if not a week or more, in advance of those deadlines. It's going to vary by county, but talk to those folks since in most cases the coach, him or herself, is not able to enter the stuff directly. Thanks.
The concussion certification, like I was just talking about, has to be completed by all coaches. The sports certification and the coach certification is only the head coaches right now. Concussion certification is every coach. Everyone that's going to be working with your athletes as a coach must be certified with the concussion. The links are here. We will send this out again, so please be sure to get this in by the deadline. So the venue for this year is Loyola Blakefield. As you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, it's Towson University. Loyola Blakefield is a mile at most away from Towson University. Mike has a video, but I want to show you this slide so that you can see it and see how close we are this year.
Okay, and Melissa, I've gone, this is Google Earth. Those of you familiar with Towson campus, here's the stadium, here's the Glenn Towers, the University Union, and this is Burdick Hall right up here. If we just pull out a little bit here, and you'll see that Loyola Blakefield is right up here. It is from a driving time distance, it's almost the same distance as going from the Glenn Towers to Towson University, to the stadium. The campus, it's a beautiful facility. We'll see a video in just a second, but it's we'll have directions and all that, but there's a entrance to campus is up here, and then there's just a gorgeous facility there. We are absolutely thrilled to have this opportunity here. I'm going to show this video. It may be a little bit jerky going through the webinar, but we figure it's worth it. This is showing, and I'm sorry, actually, before I do that, as we go in, again, this is the building. This is the main entrance to the building for the pool. So what you'll see there is the open grass area. Just want to kind of give you a perspective of what's there, so you have a sense of what you're seeing. So again, I realize it's jerking around. I have no claim to fame as a videographer, but those are the main doors that you'll go in. Again, there's a driveway or a pathway there. Those windows there, which you'll see when we go inside, actually look onto the pool. It's a huge, it'll be sunlit. It's just gorgeous. We are absolutely thrilled. So this is in the lobby, just inside those doors. That's looking at the pool. You can see from there, and we'll have some other perspectives. There's a lot of deck space, but right down the lobby, as you can see through the glass windows there, are three gyms, or it's actually one large gym with three sections to it that we can use, much as we've used the gyms in Burdick for staging, pre-staging, and awards. There's also a running track above. I'm not sure how we would use that, but that's just additional space that's there. So this all feeds in really well into the locker room areas and into the pool. Then going up, this is up above that. Going up, there's a stairway in the lobby that goes up above, and there's just nice glass windows looking in through here onto it. You can again get a nice perspective of how large the pool deck is and how much space we have. You can sort of start to see here where the seating area is. Again, you're going through a couple sets of panes of glass there. We'll have a better perspective in a moment. In terms of the actual seating, it's comparable to what's in Burdick, maybe a little bit larger, not a whole lot, but it does have this huge standing room area behind the seating area. So, and again, here you get a nice, even better perspective of how much space is on the deck. And again, it's and the perspective with the windows looking in, it's just beautiful. So we are extremely excited about this, and they're looking forward to having us there. We also have access to their dining hall, which is a little bit of a walk, not huge, within the building itself. that can be used for feeding, dining, and potentially even for folks to hang out if need be. So that said, I'm going to go ahead and make Melissa the presenter again, and I will mute my phone.
All right, thanks, Mike. So as Mike just showed you, these are just two different views of the pool, as well as a big view of the gymnasium. You can see there's 3 full basketball courts that we will be taking full advantage of for staging, awards, pre-staging. This is taken from the deck, from the track. So just a couple more pictures so you can see how much space we actually have at Loyola Blakefield. Like Mike said, we are very excited about this opportunity here, and it's very close. So as most of you know, a few years ago we were at UMBC. This is literally right down the street from Towson, so it's going to be perfect for the athletes. They don't have to go too far.
Right, and then 2 notes, and I'm sorry if I'm stepping on, I know you're going to there's 2 other things to note with this. There will be a shuttle bus going from the Towson campus to Loyola Blakefield. That'll be running in a loop. Actually, there'll be extra buses there in the morning to get the bulk of the folks out there for that. And then secondly, we will be working with Loyola Blakefield to arrange an opportunity, likely sometime in May, early to mid-May, to have coaches come out and get a tour of the space that we'll be using. I can't tell you when that's going to be, other than it'll likely be on a weekend. But we're working to get that arranged so that we can, so that folks can get a chance to see the facility hands-on. So more on that to come. But again, we're really excited about this.
All right, Neil, would you like to start? You can talk about the event. Neil, you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry, I had muted my phone. We don't need to go through the whole list of events. If you want to show that to everyone for them to view and then distribute it to everybody. But I just wanted to let the group know that one of the things that we do each year following the event, we assess how things went prior year and we adjust the schedule accordingly. One of the big challenges that we face is because we have such a wide range of skills, levels, and abilities, there's no one schedule that's going to be perfect for anyone. So what we try to do is, we try to take into account both the families and athletes' needs as well as the volunteer criteria of who's available when and getting things set up and running smoothly, and we try to intersperse relays and break up the different skill events and distance events so that we're trying to prepare a schedule that will reduce the possibility of having athletes going back to back or too many times in one particular session. But as I mentioned, there's just no one perfect way to create this. We do our best to try and accommodate all the different parameters that we need. And the other piece is we try and have this schedule available to everyone far enough in advance so that you as coaches can be aware. And if you see that you have an athlete who has options and some of those options might be closer together or further apart, maybe you train that athlete to be in the events that are more distant from one another in the schedule, so that way you don't have the back-to-back issues or some of the other travel issues. So this is a schedule we are going to be following. Like I said, it's been reviewed by, we've tried to do our best and, take a look and again, train, keep in mind as you go through training and registration.
Great, thanks, Neil. And as Neil said, these slides will be sent out within 48 hours of this webinar, so you'll get them by Wednesday at the latest, along with this recording. So you will get this so you can start training your athletes with the order of events. Just a few rule reminders. Pretty much everything's the same. Relays it was a change last year that you may register an alternate team member if in the event a team member is medically unable to compete, you can put that alternate in. Make sure the alternates have a slower time for their leg of the event than the original team member they are replacing. So you can't have an alternate that has a extremely fast time and replace them with someone that is slower than them and use that as your advantage. This is only if someone is medically unable to compete. Like I said, these are all pretty much the same as last year. Nothing has changed. No flotation device is allowed for any other race than the specified flotation races and assisted swims. Everything is the same. Please review this with all of your coaches if they did not able to make it on the webinar tonight. Make sure everyone is able to see this and know these rules. Qualifying for summer games.
Melissa, just one point before you go to that. We are expecting sometime in the next 30 days to have the new rules from Special Olympics International for the new sports rules for each of the sports to come out. Given that we are having this webinar now and the season has started, we will not be implementing the new rules whenever they come out, if there is anything that changes, unless it is a rule that focused on the health or safety of the athlete or the competitor. So if you see new rules coming in, and if that's the case, we certainly will get in touch with you right away or as quickly as we can. But we don't want to be changing rules in the middle of the season or even after we've started rolling down this, going down the road. So if you do see those rules come out and there's anything different, we will not be adhering to them, to those changes again, unless it's a safety issue.
So qualifying for the state tournament is the same as it always has been. Make sure you meet all the training and registration deadlines and requirements. The coach's certification must be completed by the deadline that we've already discussed. And the head coach has to have the sport-specific certification as well as the general certification. For aquatics, they have to compete in a minimum of the 2 sanctioned qualifiers. We'll go over the list of qualifiers that we have so far. And we will make sure if any others come up that we get them out to you as well. So for the qualifiers, what's the point of qualifier? I mean, everyone knows this. Gets the athletes more training in the competition experience. So doing a meet and a qualifier is a lot different than just practicing. It gives them that competition. It gives them that experience of racing against someone that's not their teammate that they see at every practice. In order to count as a qualifier, you have to have a sanction report, have certified officials and judges. You must follow all Special Olympics and USA swimming rules. That's a big one. You can't just go in and say, swim, here's your events, we're just going to do this, this, and this. You have to make sure you abide by all of the rules. Big one is you have to have medical on site. Ideally include 3 or more areas. We have given exceptions for that, but we prefer 3 or more to compete to consider a qualifier. The sanction form must be turned in by the area director to your regional sports director at least 30 days in advance. So that's a big one. We need to have that completely filled out. So usually the coaches will fill it out, send it to their area director, area leadership, and from there the area director will forward it on to their regional sports director, which is myself, Nick Anderson, Natalia Steffen, or Courtney Brooks. And one of the slides down in a little bit will show who covers which area, so you know who your regional sports director is. So this is the list of the current qualifiers that we've received sanction forms for. If you are hosting one, please let us know. I know Prince George's was looking to host one. Once we get that sanction form, we'll get that out to everyone and have that as well. If we're missing any, please let me know. Just send me an email and I'll make sure I add you to the list.
Baltimore City is having one, and I put the paperwork in a month ago.
The Gilman Aquatics, correct?
No, Baltimore City is having one at Meadowbrook. I filled out the paperwork and sent it to you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll add that one on to our list.
Thank you.
Yeah, Melissa, this is Stu. You've got our date for Carroll County as 5/1, and it's supposed to be 4:30.
I'm sorry. I'll make sure we get that changed. So if anyone's interested in going to the Carroll County one, I'm sorry I put the wrong date. It is actually on 4:30.
And PG will not be having a qualifier this year.
I'm sorry?
PG will not be having a qualifier this year.
Okay.
We're
All right.
not
Thank you.
doing one this year.
We'll go over all these later. If you can just email me, and I'll make sure that gets sent out to everyone that needs to get it. Different resources. Obviously, we have the Special Olympics Aquatics Guide. We'll get that sent out within the next couple of weeks. You have our website. Through our website, it has various coaches material. SpecialOlympics.org is probably the best place you can go. They have different videos and different resources that you can use to make your train your athletes a little better. So this is a slide for all the regional sports directors. If you have any questions, please reach out to your regional sports director. Again, this will be sent out to you, so take a look at who oversees your area, and then reach out to them if you have any questions about anything sports related. To go into the forms, every athlete, again, must have a valid athlete application for participation, which is the athlete medical prior to the start of training. Please make sure that the medical is 100% complete. Just because you submit it does not mean that they are good to go. Our registration coordinator, Rachel, needs to double check everything, but it helps her and speeds up the process if you double check everything before you send it in and make sure everything is complete. This is just the first page of the athlete medical. Again, everything must be filled in. Just the second page, and then the third page. Make sure both the housing policy and the concussion policy are both signed. This is a very big one. Even if your athlete is not staying over at summer games or any event, they still need to have this section signed and completed. For the volunteers, each volunteer as a coach, a unified partner, just a volunteer that comes and helps, a chaperone, anyone that's involved with your athletes must submit the volunteer application. The next couple of pages will show what that is. Everything must be complete on that. Make sure the reference is filled in. Make sure we have a social security number. We have to do a background check on everyone. Even if your work requires a background check, we do our own. So no matter what, it needs to be completed through Rachel. So please make sure all your volunteers, if you want them involved at all, make sure they have it and complete it 100%. This is just the first page of the application. As we move on, make sure this section, everything is answered correctly and properly. And again, Same thing with the housing and concussion policy. Make sure everything is filled out. Even if your volunteer or coach or chaperone is not staying over, they must sign the housing policy to acknowledge that we have that policy and they've read it. This form is for the minors. If you have someone under the age of 18, then they must have this filled out as well as that 3-page volunteer application. This will be the 4th page for them. They need to get 2 extra references to be eligible to participate as a volunteer or unified partner or coach. Incident reports, make sure if anything happens, you have this incident report completely filled out. You will send it to myself and Rhonda Garrison, as well as you send it to your area director, they'll forward it on to us. But if anything happens, make sure this is complete from the injury or anything that happens. This needs to be complete 100%. This is what the incident report looks like. I'm sure all of you have seen a copy of it before. So just make sure we get everything filled out, a nice, good description of what happened so that Rhonda Garrison, our HR coordinator, can, if she has any questions, she knows who to reach out to. All right, so the head coach's certification. This is we've been having this for about 2 years now. It began to roll out with last year of basketball, so I guess a little over a year. All coaches, all head coaches for summer games must have their sports certification valid through May 2nd. They have to have it into the state by May 2nd. If they do not have their certification in, they cannot be a head coach. They cannot be a coach. Please make sure all coaches submit and take the training for aquatics. Make sure they have their sport-specific training. Sorry. This is, again, just more about the coaches' training. Just read over it. Just make sure everything is complete. If coaches with a previous sports certification must complete one general or one sport-specific learning opportunity to be renewed. Each certification is good for 3 years. The coaching Special Olympics athletes, we have trainers that were trained into presenting and teaching this course in person. If your area would like to host one, have them reach out to their regional sports director, and we can get that set up. There's also an online version that you can take as well. These are all of the online training courses via ASEP, which is the online training school that you can take the class through. The only one that's on there is the Coaching Swimming Principles. This one, if I remember correctly, you have to order a book that will get mailed to your house, and then from there you use that to help you take the certification. So the cost is $50. SOMD will will reimburse you for $20 after you pass, as long as you send the receipt showing that you paid, as well as the certificate of completion showing that you passed the course. With those two things, if you send them to your regional sports director, then we will get that processed and get you reimbursed for the $20. Approved courses, we have sport-specific in-person live training. I'm still working to set up a training for an in-person training. As soon as I have that set up, I will reach out to you and with a link to register for that. I'm hoping to get that set up very shortly for you guys. Just to show you different techniques and different exercises to help improve the training of your athletes. There's also the online trainings, the American School of the American Sport Education Program, which is the ASAP courses that I just showed you the list of, as well as all these other learning opportunities. Again, these are the general coaching courses that you can take. The coaching Special Olympics athletes course that I spoke about, which we can do in person or online. If you want to do the in-person one, please have your area director, area leadership reach out to the regional sports director, and we can work to get that set up. All right, that's it. Are there any questions? Let me go back to the one slide that has, find it. There we go. So I'll just go on this so you can have a list of who your regional sports directors are. Let's start with, this is a random order. I kind of just wrote down all the counties. So when I call your county, please unmute your phone. If you have a question, feel free to ask. Myself, Mike, or Neil will be happy to answer any questions you guys have. Allegheny. Okay. Anne Arundel?
Hi, how you doing? When they swim in 4 events, does it have to be 3 events and a relay, or can they just swim in 4 events?
It's either 2 individual events and 2 relays, or 3 individual events and 1 relay. Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, they cannot participate in 4 individual events.
That's correct, Melissa.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Baltimore City.
I'm fine, thank you.
All right, thank you. Baltimore County.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh. I have a few questions.
Okay.
First, I may have missed something, but I don't know how we sign up for this concussion training.
There are links in the slide deck that I'll be sending out. So when I send you the slide deck, you just click on the links, and there's 2 different ones that you can go to. You can do the CDC concussion training, which takes about half an hour to complete, or you can do the National Federation of High Schools, which takes about 45 minutes to complete. So whichever one you prefer, it's up to you. They're both free of charge, so you can take your pick of which one you want to do.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. And then when you say for a qualifier, because we're hosting one that you have to have medical personnel, what kind of medical personnel are you thinking that we need to have there? Like, we have lifeguards, obviously, but beyond that, what do we need?
Right. You want a nurse or an EMT, a medical professional that's beyond a lifeguard. So
Is that something that you all provide?
We can help you, but it's usually up to the areas to get that.
Okay.
If you need help with it, you can reach out to Courtney, and she'll be able to help you find a medical person if you don't have one.
Okay.
Okay. And with that, go to your area leadership first.
Mm-hmm.
Before you go to your regional sport director. Your area director or your other area leaders may have someone to contact, or may already have somebody in line.
Okay. All right. And kind of more minor question with the Towson Loyola thing. Does everybody go to Towson and then get like bus to Loyola, or can like parents and stuff just come and park at Loyola and go directly there if they want to?
Yeah, the buses are only for the athletes that stay overnight in the dorms. Since you're in Baltimore, you guys, I don't think, usually stay overnight. So the parents are more than welcome to just bring the athletes on the day of.
And park there, and that's all fine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Carol. Anything from Carroll County?
Hi, Melissa. My question was just asked.
All right. Thanks, Stu. Charles County. Okay. Cecil? Calvert County. All right. Garrett County.
Hi, this is Calvert. No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Garrett County, any questions?
I got that.
Harford County.
No questions.
Thank you. Howard?
Hi, Melissa. This is Alan.
Hi, Alan.
Ladies' locker room, ladies' facilities at Loyola.
There are, yes. We'll have signs that show where the facilities are.
Are they going to be large enough to handle the number of female swimmers we might have?
Yes, they will.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Frederick?
Frederick is good.
Thank you. Lower Shore?
Lower Shore is good.
Thank you. Montgomery?
Montgomery's here, but I don't think we have any questions.
Thank you. Prince George's County, any questions?
No questions for PG.
Huh? This is Karen. I had one question.
Okay.
What are the ages for like unified partners? Do you know the how old athletes need to be a unified partner?
Like what the minimum age to be a unified partner is?
Yes.
Mike, do you want to take that?
Sure. Well, your unified partners should be close in age to the athletes with
Right,
they are competing, but they should. You can go down to 8.
Okay, because I have some young swimmers that I'm working with, and I have a couple of young unified partners that are the approximate same age as my partners, but I was told that they had to be 12. They couldn't be 8 or 9.
No, there is what somebody is confusing there is in general for a general volunteer role, there's some higher age ranges and depends upon adult supervision and so on down the line, but it doesn't apply to partners.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Prince George's. St. Mary's, any questions? Okay, Upper Shore? And Washington County. All right, did we miss anyone or any questions that someone might have or someone just thought of?
I'm sorry, Washington County's here. We're okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa, this is Margie Young from Montgomery County. You guys didn't have us on your list of competitions. We're having our qualifier on the 21st of May.
Yes, I did. I just got that from Pam. Sorry.
Okay. That was all.
Thank you. And I'll add these qualifiers and make the corrections before I send out the slides to everyone, just so you have the correct list of qualifiers. Anything else before we end?
Melissa, I have one quick thing.
Sure.
and I know we'll probably get into this more later in the season when we start talking, ramping up before the games, but this pertains to the registration into the GMS. I'll say this now, and I'll remind people as the time nears for the event. But if you, as you register your athletes, if there are any medical conditions that we need to, any valid medical conditions that we need to be aware of that would impact the athlete's ability to perform a particular stroke according to the rules, or impact the athlete's needs for a particular lane assignment, whether it be visually impaired, hearing impaired, needing access to a lift, etc. Please put that information in the comments for that particular athlete in the GMS. One of the things that we try to do in preparing the division details and the lane assignments is we take that information into consideration. And if it's not present at the time that we receive it prior to the game, it's oftentimes too late to make any lane changes, etc. And we do want to accommodate as many people as we can within, for legitimate issues. Obviously, we're not going to. A legitimate issue is, hey, this person's favorite lane is lane number 7. Sorry, that's not something that we will do. But if it's a legitimate medical need with the appropriate documentation, we will take that into consideration as best we can when making the lane assignment. Also, we'll communicate anything to the officials prior to the event, so that way he or she who's doing the officiating, they'll be aware of any medical issues that impact the swimmer's ability to perform the stroke to the specified rules. So, not having that information obviously hurts the athlete the most, and just causes a lot of frustration at the time of the event. So if you can please get that information in to the GMS, so that way we have it and we can take it into consideration and do what we need to do before the event, we would really appreciate that.
All right, thanks, Neil. If anyone has a question they think of later, please feel free to email your regional sports director or myself with your question, and we will get back to you as soon as we can with an answer. If there's no other questions, I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. And again, I'll make sure the slides as well as the link to the recording of this will be sent out within 48 hours so that you have a copy of this. Have a good night. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.